Consumers are leading the way in making digital demands on banks, but corporates are not that far behind. In this next chapter, Erik Zingmark, co-head of transaction banking at Nordea, says that the next couple of years will be critical if banks are going to adapt. So Erik, everything's going digital.
Yes.
And consumer customers of banks, corporate customers of banks, they're all demanding more. I mean, what must banks do to keep up with this?
Well, first of all, I think we need to realize that the consumer is extremely impatient and very demanding, and also have a much better knowledge of what to expect from banks and other service providers. So I think what banks need to do is to study and truly understand the trends in the consumer customer base.
Okay, and what about on the corporate side? I mean, they're not quite so demanding, perhaps.
I think that is a very interesting question, because what we see is that we tend to cluster corporates in one, but to me it's very important to differentiate in between B2B corporates and B2C corporates, because the B2C corporates are facing more or less the same disruption as we see in the merchant and small and medium-sized companies, as well as on consumer. Whereas on the B2B, more production kind of companies, the digitalization is perhaps a little bit slower and different.
Okay, so they've got a little time there maybe, but probably not very much.
No, not very much.
Okay, so now what is the approach that Nordea is taking to these kinds of issues?
Well, like most banks, I think we are doing kind of a multi-betting strategy, where we are searching for answers on what will be the future kind of standard or model. But instead we are betting on a few horses when it comes to where we invest, where we put our efforts. And one example of that is, for example, in the peer-to-peer payment space, the e-com space and the in-store space, where it's, at least in the Nordic region, still difficult to see what will become the standard. So we are pretty multi
and to do those kinds of activities, I mean, have you partnered with fintechs, or have you decided to go it by yourselves?
No, we partner with fintechs. We run accelerator programs, we have hackathons, we have summer schools. We are very much involved in blockchain. So I think our approach is, right now we have a group function that is steering the strategy and facilitating for the business to take necessary steps. Then we have a digital banking space that is kind of building the online branch network, if you wish. And then we have transaction banking, which I represent, that is very much more into deliver digital, tangible solutions to the customer.
Okay, so tell us what you've done on the corporate banking side, on the transaction banking side.
Yeah, we are building a wallet of our own, for example, and we are investing in different, solution based on API management. So we are preparing now to open up the bank more and more to partners and customers through API technology.
And what about mobile banking in the transaction banking space? It's obviously big on the consumer side.
Yes.
Do you think there will be the same kind of uptake eventually on the?
I think it is a slowness, and there is some hesitation, but I think we will see that, like in the Nordics, we use our mobile bank ID as the ID for everything we do. When we pay, when we do bank services, but also vis-a-vis the government and authorities. And I think that could be the first step also for the blue chip companies, that the mobile becomes your passport. But again, I mean, running a treasury and looking at a 4-inch screen is still difficult.
Okay, and you mentioned you're interested in blockchain. I mean, yes. What do you see as the prospects for blockchain in banking? I
think we have, blockchain is in a hype phase, but it's not a hype. So it will become reality, and it will have a fantastic impact on how we conduct business, both in the financial industry, but also vis-a-vis the customer and the corporates.
I mean, we've seen some of it. We've seen blockchain trade finance deals done now.
Yes, yeah. Yes, and I think the business side of it is extremely interesting, but also the regulation or the compliance part of it, where KYC is extremely interesting, for example.
So Erik, I mean, do you see the next 2 or 3 years as totally critical for banks in getting to terms with this new environment?
They are very critical. I think we have a couple of years now to get our act together, to understand that we are being disrupted, and to understand how to collaborate with fintech startups, to get our culture right. It's not only about technology and strategy, it's also to get our people to understand that we are in a Kodak moment in another sense that you usually think of.
All right, and so what happens if we don't get it right then?
Yeah, then I think it's a slow suffocation of some of the banks.
Okay. Erik, thank you very much.